serial killers who have come to the fore in almost every part of history, tortured and killed people living in that period, and gave them a mortal hell. Well, have you ever wondered what's going on in the inner world of these serial killers? Let's move on to the video for details. The psychology of serial killers is a complex and controversial topic that has been extensively studied by psychologists, criminologists, and forensic experts. While there is no single psychological profile that applies to all serial killers, there are certain patterns and characteristics that have been observed in many cases. One of the most common traits observed in serial killers is a history of childhood trauma and abuse. Studies have found that many serial killers experienced physical, sexual, or emotional abuse during their childhood, and this trauma may contribute to the development of violent behavior later in life. Additionally, many serial killers also exhibit a lack of empathy and a disregard for the rights and feelings of others, which may also be linked to early childhood experiences. Another common characteristic of serial killers is a pattern of fantasy and obsession with violence. Many serial killers engage in elaborate fantasies about their crimes, and may spend hours planning and rehearsing their attacks. These fantasies may be a way of coping with feelings of anger, frustration, or inadequacy, and may also provide a sense of power and control. Research has also shown that many serial killers have below-average intelligence and may have a history of substance abuse or mental illness. However, it is important to note that these factors alone do not explain the development of serial killer behavior, and many people with similar backgrounds and experiences do not become violent offenders. One of the most well-known serial killers in history is Ted Bundy. Bundy was responsible for the murders of at least 30 young women in the 1970s, and was known for his charming personality and ability to manipulate others. Studies of Bundy's behavior suggest that he may have suffered from a personality disorder, such as psychopathy or narcissistic personality disorder. He was also known to engage in elaborate fantasies, and often targeted victims who resembled people who had rejected him in the past. Another well-known serial killer is Jeffrey Dahmer, who was responsible for the murders of 17 young men in the 1980s. Dahmer was known for his cannibalism and necrophilia, and was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, schizophrenia, and substance abuse issues. Studies of Dahmer's behavior suggest that his crimes were motivated by a desire for control and a need for sexual gratification. One example of a serial killer who exhibited distinct psychological traits is John Wayne Gacy, also known as the Killer Clown. Gacy was responsible for the murders of at least 33 young men and boys in the 1970s. He was known for his involvement in his local community and often dressed up as a clown for charity events. However, beneath his friendly exterior, Gacy had a history of childhood trauma and abuse, including being physically and emotionally abused by his father. Gacy was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder, which is characterized by a lack of empathy, disregard for the rights of others, and a tendency towards impulsive behavior. Another example is Aileen Wuornos, who was convicted of the murders of 7 men in Florida in the late 1980s. Wuornos had a history of childhood abuse and neglect and had been involved in prostitution and substance abuse for much of her adult life. She claimed that the murders were committed in self-defense after being assaulted by the men, but she was ultimately convicted and sentenced to death. Wuornos was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, which is characterized by unstable moods, impulsive behavior, and intense emotions. While there is no single psychological profile that applies to all serial killers, study of their behavior and motivations can help to shed light on the complex factors that contribute to violent behavior. By better understanding the psychology of serial killers, experts may be better equipped to identify and prevent violent behavior in the future. And the video is over. If you like the video, you can like it and subscribe to the channel.